Good evening and welcome to our first live stream gala. Thank you for being part of this evening, and we hope that you all are safe and well. Thanks also to those who've invited friends and family to watch with you. We hope that you will learn more about our ministry and how it heals the brokenhearted and transforms lives. We have New Heart of Texas supporters throughout the country and the world watching tonight, and you are helping to grow our community. Special thanks to all the people who continually sign up to pray for our retreats and our prayer vigil. Your prayers are vital, and God continues to work miracles through our retreats. Even with COVID, we have held 6 retreats marks. Hear about our newest program, Duty to Heal, for soldiers and first responders, which is going to be launched this summer in August. Please stay tuned with us as we celebrate the healing that has been received and learn about our exciting plans for the future. If at any time you'd like to make a donation to our ministry, please click on the donate button. Or if you'd rather send a check to our New Heart of Texas address. You still have a few minutes to make your final bids in our online silent auction. This year, we have a wide variety of items and 4 fabulous getaway packages. I hope you win something. I hope that you are blessed by this evening, and on behalf of our board of directors and myself, we thank you for your support of New Heart of Texas Ministries. For those of you who are hearing about us for the first time, if you have any questions or if you want to know more, please visit our website at newheartoftexas.org, or you can email me at info@newheartoftexas.org. May God continue to bless you abundantly as you have blessed us.
Just bear with us for a moment.
Confidential. My name is Stephanie. How may I help you?
Hi, Stephanie.
My name is Shirley, and I am calling because I need some help. I don't know what to do. I'm very sad.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're sad and what is behind that feeling of sadness, Shirley?
Yeah, so
Hello, your call is confidential. My name is Stephanie. How may I help you?
hi Stephanie. My name is Shirley, and I am calling because I need some help. I don't know what to do. I'm very sad.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about why you're sad and what is behind that feeling of sadness, Shirley?
Yeah, so a few weeks ago I had an abortion, and
Okay.
it was the worst thing that I can, the worst decision I ever made, the worst thing that I did, and
Mm.
now I'm just, I don't know what to do. I feel like my life is falling apart.
Okay, honey. Well, I'm so glad you called today. I think you've come to the right spot here, and we would like to be able to, I'd like to be able to talk to you a little bit about your abortion. Can you tell me a little bit about the background and kind of how you came to make that decision?
Yeah, so and it was a few weeks ago. I had just broken up with the guy, and then I just find out, and then he like I we were taking decisions together, and then I felt lonely. I didn't I was not talking to my family, and he
Mm.
basically told me that the best decision was to have an abortion. And I don't know what happened to me, and I agreed to it.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And I know that that is a hard decision to make. There are times when we come back to regret those decisions. Do you feel like you're regretting it now?
Yes, I regret immediately after leaving the clinic. Immediately.
Okay. Okay. When we have an abortion, I have had an abortion. I've had actually two abortions, and I have been through a lot of what you're going through right now. And it won't be exactly the same, but after someone's had an abortion, there are a lot of similarities that we call symptoms afterwards that happen. And one of them is sadness. Another one might be anger. You might go through some grief. And I would say that's part of what you're going through right now is maybe a grieving period. We here at H3 Helpline really would like to help you get through this and help you with your journey and to be able to help you heal. There is a place in Texas called New Heart of Texas and Rachel's Vineyard, and they will walk alongside this with you. And there's hope, help, and healing for this abortion. You do not have to walk through this alone.
Okay.
How are you feeling right now? Are you at a place where you're safe?
Yeah, I'm safe. I'm in my house.
Okay. Are there any questions that you have while you're on the phone
Yeah,
with me?
yeah, I would like more information about
All right. Well, if you're willing to travel, the H3 helpline will get you the information. What we will do is we will send you an email packet, virtual packet that will give you information about Rachel's Vineyard in New Heart of Texas. Then you can call them and you can begin that journey of healing. If that sounds good, would you like to do that?
yes, yes, I would like that. Anything that can help me to go through this.
Well, Shirley, I would really like to pray with you if that's okay.
Yes.
Father, I thank you so much for Shirley. I thank you for the life that she is living, Father, that she has recognized that she has done something that is hurting not only herself, but that has hurt the life of a child. And Father, we thank you that you are willing to forgive and that you are willing to touch her heart, Father. Just come around her, give her hope, and let her know, Father, that she is not alone, that you are there to walk with her, and that we are here to walk with her. We thank you for your love and goodness to us. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Shirley, I'm glad you called today.
Thank you. Thank you for talking to me today.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
What you just heard was a replay of an actual H3 helpline call we received last October. One of our phone coaches, Stephanie, who's here tonight, she's sitting over in the corner, she received the call, and the woman at the other end is our next speaker. Let me introduce Shirley Zambrano, who will share her story.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's having a great time in this wonderful gala. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the New Heart of Texas Ministry for giving me the opportunity to be here today and to share my story. I hope my story encourages other women to get the healing from the painful event of an abortion. A little background about myself. My name is Shirley Zambrano. I'm 35 years old and I'm single. I was born and raised in Ecuador. I came to the United States when I was 15 years old, and I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia. I am a successful immigration attorney. I run my own law firm, and I have traveled the world. My life seems pretty perfect in the outside, but in reality, it's as far as from perfect as it can be. I was abandoned, emotionally abused, and neglected as a child. I was sexually molested when I was a teenager. Having emotional abuse by past relationships, and as a result of these life events, I suffer from low self-esteem, low confidence, and lack of self-love. On September 29th of last year, my life I will forever regret. A decision that was based on my own lack of self-esteem, self-love, and selfishness. Immediately after my abortion, I felt lonely, empty, depressed, and suicidal. I couldn't imagine going with my life what I had just done. I just wanted to die and be with my baby. But God had better plans for me. Thankfully, I was made aware of the H3 helpline by my therapist, who happened to be Googling about organizations that could help me when she was not available. On a very rainy afternoon, while sitting on my car with my suicidal thoughts, I called the H3 helpline. Little did I know, it was the very first steps towards my healing. Not only healing from my abortion, but from all the traumatic events I have endured in my life. On that day, I was fortunate to talk to Stephanie, who I had the pleasure of meeting today. Stephanie patiently listened to my, there is no evil that God cannot turn into good. After our conversations, Stephanie referred me to Rachel Binion's retreat and put me in contact with Barry Lee. At the time, the November retreat was fully booked, but I was placing the waiting list to see if there was a cancellation. I remember Barry Lee telling me, if God wanted you to be in that retreat, he will make it happen. And yes, he did. He was able to make a space for me because he knew that I needed to be there, that I needed to be healed, that I needed to be forgiven. I traveled all the way from Georgia to Texas. I was terrified, scared, and I had no idea what to expect. Soon as I got to the retreat, I met Mary Lee, Tracy, Julie, Esther, and Pastor Mark, and some other wonderful ladies and gentlemen who were seeking to heal from their abortion. It was the first time in my abortion that I did not feel alone. The retreat was one of the most wonderful spiritual experiences in my life. I found support, compassion, understanding, forgiveness, peace, and acceptance. And the most important thing, it made my relationship with God stronger. My healing is still a work in process. I will be attending to the upcoming Grief and Grace retreat to find healing from the trauma of being neglected and abused. I also still call the H3 helpline when I'm feeling down and consumed by my emotions. I still grieve the loss of my baby. I still wish things were different, but I know God has a great future plan for me. I'll encourage those who are listening or watching this today and whose heart are hurting from an abortion to please reach out to the New Heart of Texas ministry. I want you to know that you're not alone. Saying if you know of anyone that is hurting, please pass this information along. Many lives can be saved and changed by attending to one of the retreats offered by the New Heart Texas ministry. I honestly do not think, I don't know what to think if I wouldn't be here today. Thank you, Stephanie, for taking my call on that rainy afternoon. Thank you, Mary Lee, Tracy, Esther, Julian, and Pastor Mark for making me feel welcome and accepted during the retreat. Thank you to New Heart of Texas Ministry for giving me a new heart, restoring my hopes, and bringing me back to life. Thank you.
Shirley, thank you so much for sharing your testimony. I know how difficult that can be. And Stephanie, you're in the corner. Can you stand up? I know it's dark back there, but you probably can't see her. But Stephanie, thank you to you and the other phone coaches we have for being willing to take these calls. And if you don't know, it can be very difficult to pick up the phone and take some of these calls. And they do a tremendous job, and I know Mary Lee's going to talk some more about that. So without further ado, though, I would like to introduce our president and founder, New Heart of Texas Ministries, my wife and my better half, Mary Lee Mason, who will speak about New Heart.
Well, good evening. Welcome to our first formal, beautifully rooted gala here at the wonderful Petroleum Club of Houston. If you've been with us in the past, this is a step up this year, having it here. It is just so great to see so many familiar faces, especially after this long and challenging year. I'd also like to welcome those of you who are here for the first time, and I hope that everyone will be truly blessed by this evening. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, nonprofit organization, our mission is to heal the brokenhearted from traumatic events, including abortion, physical, sexual, emotional, and spiritual abuse. We currently have 3 major programs. Rachel's Vineyard, which Shirley just attended. It's a weekend retreat for women and men hurting from the pain and regret of their abortion, and that was our first foundational program. This program impacted me personally. When I was 18 years old, I found myself pregnant, and I made that choice to have an abortion. I kept mine a secret for 26 years until I was introduced to Rachel's Vineyard. I attended a retreat in 2006, and it changed my life completely. God took my worst pain and turned it into his passion in me, a passion to serve others who are suffering from the pain of abortion or any other event. Since then, I've led over 70 Rachel's Vineyard retreats and have seen firsthand so many lives transformed. This past year, despite the pandemic, New Heart of Texas has safely held 6 retreats, and we're pleased to report no one contracted COVID. That's all to God. We even held a Rachel's Vineyard after a place that had power, hot water, and great food. Because of being isolated for so Our second program is called Grief to Grace, and it's a 5-day spiritual and psychological healing journey which focuses on addressing the issues caused by physical, sexual, or emotional abuse with the goal of finding a new beginning through Christ. Participants are given the opportunity to process through their traumatic experiences in a safe environment under the care of professional counselors and staff. Most participants are dealing with unresolved anger and grief that they've kept buried for years. Our participants come from all over the United States, like Shirley came from Atlanta, as well as internationally to attend our retreats. The transformations that we observe in the lives of these people is nothing short of miraculous. At-risk marriages have been restored, and couples are given new tools to help them build healthy, lasting relationships. Healing to bring them to new understanding of themselves and others. We are the only here and abroad. These programs were written and developed by Dr. Teresa Burke, a world-renowned psychotherapist and author, a trusted friend, a confidant, and a mentor. Our third program is the H3 Helpline, which stands for Help, Hope, and Healing. It's a 24/7 confidential national helpline for those who suffered the pain of abortion or for women who are pregnant and they're seeking information about all their options. Each of them have experienced pain and encourage callers of our examples of a helpline call. Our 15 phone coaches live all across the United States. Last week, we just had our 1,000th phone call. I think we need to clap for that one. And actually, Stephanie's the one who took it. We are currently taking up to 100 calls per month. Some of our helpline coaches are here tonight, and I would love for them to stand. Stephanie and your table over there, could you all stand, who's a helpline coach? Let's give them a hand. And when we mean 24/7, that means they answer. When they're on duty, they answer. I mean, they sleep, but they do wake up in the middle of the night, and they answer that phone, and you can't even tell they're asleep. And they answer that call. So tonight, I am so excited to announce the start of our next program, Duty to Heal, Finding Peace for a Soldier's Heart. This program is post-traumatic stress disorder, which is especially appropriate for today. This long-awaited program has been delayed by several factors, including COVID. However, Dr. Teresa Burke is coming to Texas to help us. Duty to Heal strives to help veterans and first responders by providing resources for their own physical, mental, and spiritual health. Participants will embark on a journey to process various memories in a safe and supportive environment. We will address some of the challenges commonly faced and provide a path towards spiritual healing by ending isolation and creating a community of support and understanding. Past experiences can be transformed into new perspectives, of how your support has helped us accomplish God's purposes for the last 8 years. We have held 49 Rachel's Vineyard retreats and had 453 men and women participate, and we memorialized 1,430 babies. We have been able to offer each Rachel's Vineyard retreat at no charge to the participants. The total expense for each retreat is $3,000. We have spent $147,000 on these retreats the last 8 years. We have facilitated 13. Each Grief to Grace retreat cost about $18,000. Thanks to our donors, we've been able to offer partial to full scholarships so that someone's financial limitations won't prevent them from receiving the healing that they so desperately need. Donations have provided $183,000 in scholarships to help offset costs for those financial limitations. We have had 60. For each retreat, we have prayer warriors who provide prayer coverage for every hour throughout each retreat. I know we have many people here tonight who've signed up on our website to pray. Team members and participants can tell you that they can actually feel the prayers offered up on their behalf. Please consider joining our email list, and you will be given opportunities to sign up to pray. When I first started leading the Rachel's Vineyard retreats, well before New Heart of Texas existed, I had a vision that one day the ministry would own property where a multitude of healing programs would take place. With this vision in mind, I began looking at property about 10 years ago. Then, in 2013, realtor. I shared my vision with Sandra and told her about my desire for the ministry to own property one day for hosting retreats. Over the next 6 years, Sandra has taken me to see many properties. Each time I would pray, but it just didn't seem like the right place or the right timing. Then this past February, a listing appeared on my property search that I believed could be the perfect one for New Heart of Texas. The next day, Sandra and I went to go take a look. The property is in Waller County and is about 25 miles from Northwest Houston. It's situated on 10 acres, has 2 houses, and a 6-room motel. Between all the structures that God has placed before us to purchase, we have been praying earnestly for God to show us how to proceed with the possible purchase. A few generous individuals have already come forward offering to invest in our mission to help us purchase this property. However, to make it a reality, we're looking for more donors and/or investors. Timing is everything with purchasing property, and we would like to move forward in pursuing the purchase of this property by making an offer soon. I know some of you might be thinking, why do you need your own property? Well, the retreat property we use now is expensive. Most of our cost goes to renting properties, and it's only available certain times of the year, and it's 1.5 hours away from Houston. We currently have waiting lists for people to attend all of our programs. Our vision would be to host smaller retreats and offer them more frequently. The property's close proximity to Houston will also make it easier for volunteer training and participation. God has always provided all of our needs, and I believe it was God who gave me the vision that New Heart of Texas, owning property for the ongoing expand our ministry, have enabled us to help change so many hearts and lives. I also want to thank our faithful volunteers who have served on retreat teams. They've provided meals for retreats and all the other much needed amenities that add the special touch to each retreat. Right now, we would like to show you a short little video of how New Heart of Texas has transformed so many lives.
My name is Cynthia, and I'm 35 years old, and I have had 3 abortions.
My name is Rose, and I'm 59 years old, and I have had 2 abortions and 1 miscarriage.
My name is Brittany. This is my husband, George, and we've been married for 15 years. I got pregnant about a year after dating him. I was 18 and George was 25. We had an abortion and never spoke about it again.
My name is Warren, and I'm 80 years old. I was 10 years old, and I was sexually molested. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell my parents. I just stuffed it for about 70 years.
My name is Stephanie, and I am 44 years old. I was a young girl who was molested.
I first encountered my sexual abuse at the age of 7, and then again at 13 years old, and I became pregnant at 13 years old. I was a single mom by myself, 13, raising my son. I just found myself in these toxic relationships and ended up pregnant 3 separate times. At the time of each one of my abortions, I felt extremely guilty and alone. I gave up 3 kids, and I always wondered how of a good brother my living son would have been to them.
I was sexually abused from the ages of 6 till about 10. I had an abortion.
I did what I normally did. I ran away. I didn't take on the responsibilities that I should have as a man.
Then we got pregnant with birth. Our daughter would be 7. This is what we did. And having just complete remorse and regret and shame.
I grew up at home with both my parents, but a very, very abusive dad. So that led me to actually running away from home at the age of 15 and fell into the hands of like a 22-year-old man and thought I was in love. I was a virgin at the time and he raped me. I became pregnant then with my first son at the age of 16. A couple of years later, I become pregnant by the same guy with my second son. And within 2 more years, I had met another guy and became pregnant again. So I had an abortion. About a year later, I had another abortion. It was just like an easy way out.
I also ended up in a marriage for 11 years that also was abusive, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and verbal abuse.
When I first got to the retreat, I was very, almost angry.
I was extremely reluctant. I tried to leave, very angry that I was there.
It didn't have to be a secret anymore. You know, it didn't have to be a secret. I was able to name my babies, and I was able to give them a ceremony that they deserved as human beings because they were humans when they were aborted. Their names was Marquise and Lincoln.
Mercy. Her name is Mercy.
We've memorialized 2,500 babies to this date.
Just to be able to see that what we experienced was truly traumatic, and it wasn't a procedure, it was our child.
I realized that I do have 3 babies in heaven looking after me and my son. If it wasn't for Rachel's Vineyard, I wouldn't have even dealt with the deeper root of my abortions, which is the sexual abuse, which led me to attend the Grief to Grace retreat for abuse.
God freed me from the shame and guilt at Rachel's Vineyard, which led me to learn more about grief to grace. Grief to grace was the place I needed to be to find that healing.
It's changed my life with my wife. I can feel free to talk to my sons. It's just a beautiful freedom that you feel.
I truly received the forgiveness of God.
I've forgiven myself and I've been forgiven by God, and so it's okay.
Until the healing of Rachel's Vineyard and going to Grief to Grace, I'm 6 months pregnant and our daughter's 12, and it's through that healing that you can forgive yourself.
We're able to be, just messengers of God, man, because I know this has nothing to do with me and her.
It's like it's watching miracles every time.
It will change your life and it will bring you the healing that you need.
What do you have to lose? You're living in your own pain and your own shameful, guilty feelings. But once you expose those things as lies and you are surrounded by people who understand, who have been through what you've been.
Going to Rachel's Vineyard or going to Grief to Grace, you come out with a heartbeat. You come out with a new heart.
That's a great video. Several of the people in that testimonial video are actually are here tonight, and I'd like to thank them again for sharing their stories with us. I think it's important to introduce our board of directors as well. And service on the board of directors is a 3-year commitment, although some serve actually much longer than that. Their dedication's amazing, and each one of them is active in the day-to-day operations of the ministry. And each of their stories is pretty amazing in their own right. And I'd ask, as I introduce them, you hold your applause until I call all the names. And for the board members, please stand and remain standing as I call your names. Marshall Rory. Erica Rivera. The lights I can't really see too well. So Pastor Blake Nichols. Stephanie De Los Santos. And she actually for us, so she does an amazing job. Terry Baxter, who's not here tonight, she's moving from, Terry Baxter is a director of the H3 Helpline, and she's put this all together over the last several years, done a phenomenal job. Cynthia Goodwin. Cynthia Goodwin is our the ministry secretary. Betsy Kirk. Betsy is our treasurer. And then finally, Mary Lee Mason is our president and founder. So you all do a phenomenal job. Thank you very much. This team is pretty incredible in the dedication, the energy, the attention to detail, and the emotional strength and their ability to bring hope and healing to so many brothers and sisters. And so often, it just absolutely amazes me. And it's not something that I don't think I could do and I haven't done. I like to help out from the backside, but they are absolutely amazing. I'd also like to recognize our former board members, some of whom are present tonight and some of whom are watching in the live stream. And so if you're present, please stand. Esther Rimling. Now, you know what I'm going to talk about. Esther makes the peanut brittle. When I say that, I think. Cammie Hill. Julie Fitzpatrick. Warren Midkey. A lot of you got calls from Tracy. And she has been a huge, huge contributor to putting tonight together. We really appreciate that, Tracy. Tricia Herrera. Rick Winsets, and his lovely bride, Chris Winsett, and Jeff Adams. So thank you all very much for getting us to where we are today. I'm now honored to introduce Marshall Rory, who's a member of our board, who's going to share his testimony. So Marshall.
I admit I'm a bit of a crybaby, so sitting and watching what we've already seen has touched my heart, and so we're going to do this. Might be hard. I've been asked, by the way, a practicing therapist in West Houston, and I've been doing that for about 25 years, and I've been asked to share how New Heart of Texas Retreats has impacted my life. I heard about it through brochures and information and even recommended it. My clients check it out over the years, and they always came back glowing so much better and healed. And I said, wow, this is amazing, and maybe I should find out more about this. And so, long story short, eventually I'm talking to Mary Lee, and she said, well, sure, we would be glad for you to participate, but you have to do the retreats first. I thought, 45 years of ministry, church, Christian camp, doing retreats, speaking at retreats, organizing retreats, teaching private Christian school for 15 years. I think I pretty much, but okay, I'll go to the retreat because you require it and I'm interested in participating, so I did. Well, what I didn't realize is that in all my supposed confidence, almost arrogance, Christ went before me. It's almost like he booked a room right across the hall. And I sat and participated in the program, and it was beautiful and very meaningful, and I saw these great people experiencing good things, and I said, well, I'll just let God have his way here and do what he wants to do in my life. And that's probably a good idea. And I thought this is a time for that. So right about that time in one of the inner child activities really had upset him or disturbed him in his life. So I began, and I'm a therapist, I get this. So I'm writing this letter. And as I wrote, my heart just began to crack open. And I thought, wow, I'll just finish this. So I began to write about the fact that my mom was never proud of me. And okay, I'm a big boy, get over it, right? I decided to go into ministry, and she didn't think that was a good idea. She thought it was crazy, and why would I do something like that? I was a pretty smart guy. Why don't I do something to make money, you know? And I thought, well, I'll just be good at this, and she'll eventually be proud of me. Well, actually, over the years, I kind of got good at it, I think, at least many would say. But for 20 years, my mother wouldn't speak to me. And there's nothing like the rejection of your mother that sinks a dagger into your soul like no other. And I thought, well, sure, I've been through therapy. I've gotten past this. But obviously, Christ knew I hadn't. And he wanted to, I don't know about your life, but what God does in my experience is I ask him to touch my life. And he says, well, what about that box over there? I said, well, not that box. Let's talk about this stuff. He said, no, let's find what's in. And so he opened up that box, and out of it came all this awareness and understanding that Christ was rejected on the cross. And the rejection is very common. And you know, in my career, I've talked to a lot of people about this and helped them, I think. Well, as time went, the program continued, and healing happened. And I can tell you today that I don't think my mother owes me anything. I've forgiven her. Last Mother's Day, I wrote a letter in honor of her. She's passed away. I wrote a letter in honor of her and mailed it to my siblings because I wanted to celebrate all the wonderful things that she did as a human being contributing to my life, and I'm so thankful for her. Well, didn't expect that, but what more importantly than that, I sat there as a therapist and I watched this room full of people that had waited months in some cases to participate and pour out their heart and deal with their grief and their trauma. Grace retreat, I said, well, okay, well, I guess I'll go to that one and see what happens, but wasn't quite so naive this time, and God just picked up where he left off. You see, when you've been a disappointment in your life, you begin to think of yourself as someone who's probably going to mess up. And so often, I've been confronted that lie in my life. That's just something the devil wants us to all think, that we're failures and we're no good at anything, and so why serve God? And I knew all that, and my theology was right, and I understand what the Bible teaches about my identity and my significance, etc. But never had I really dealt with the lies as seriously and clearly as I really needed to do. Well, you would probably say, or I don't say you would probably say, but some have said over the years, you know, Marshall, you're good at this. You need to write a book. You need to do seminars. You need to get on the radio. You need to really make an impact. And I don't know if all those accolades are true or not, but my typical response is, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the encouragement, but nah, you don't know me. You don't know how I can mess up things and be a disappointment to all those people that I'm trying to help. Well, you'd think after 72 years many decades of that, having personal therapy myself, that I would have solved this problem. Well, what happened at the retreat is God gave me such a clear understanding of what these lies really were and how damaging they were to me and to my family and to my ministry and to every aspect of my life. And I began to be angry. I was angry at the devil, so angry at his insidious, deceptive attempts to destroy me and my family and everyone around me by just making me believe lies that weren't even true. And I had the opportunity through the anger activity, which is unique in of itself, to really vent all of that out. Oh, and it felt so good. And I can say today that I've learned to deal with those lies, and I understand them more clearly now than I ever did. I also understand how to target them and to attack them. They're so prevalent in your life that even as I stand here right now, I'm being bombarded with those thoughts. But praise God. But again, I saw another room full of people bloom like flowers. I said, Jesus is... And I said, I got to be a part of this. I just can't get far from this. And so I, after talking with Mary Lee, she invited me to participate as a therapist on the core team, in which I had an opportunity to participate in the curriculum, and I saw more detail of the program and how it works. And so, again, this time more from an objective viewpoint, I saw the healing take place. And recently, Mary Lee has invited me to join the New Heart of Texas board, which I'm quite honored to do. What a great group of people, servant-minded, down-to-earth, hard-working, talented people is really a rare find. And I'm glad the volunteers were mentioned. You know, some of our volunteers come from hundreds of miles away just to donate their time for a weekend. Amazing. All right, I'm going to finish with an illustration that maybe help you understand some of what I'm saying. A few minutes ago, I shared some details about my experiences. I did that to make a point. Over the years, I've watched our Lord touch people, couples, individuals, addicts in so many powerful ways, each one of them amazing, each moment amazing. I'd like to, just for the sake of illustration, compare those moments to like bottles of wine. Delicious, unique wine, each one of them special. And then we take our thoughts to the wedding of Cana, where Jesus did his first miracle, where he turned water into wine. And I know you've heard the story. There was a hospitality problem, and his mom asked him to take care of it, and they needed some more wine. So he had him bring some containers of wine, and he changed water and changed it into wine. Like 30 gallons of it, 30 gallons, 750 bottles. That's amazing. So when you think about the New Heart of Texas retreat, I want you to think about what happened at the wedding of Cana. The ruler of the feast said, this was the best wine. And we don't have any way of knowing what it tastes like, but I have a hunch there's something Jesus personally did for his mom who he loved as a gift to her. It was probably pretty good wine. Just my hunch. Well, what I'd like you to think about tonight is that if all those wonderful ministry experiences are bottles of wine, what happens at New Heart of Texas, friends, is the best wine. It's some of Jesus's best personal work, and it happens right in front of you. And I'm not going to try to list the words and superlatives to explain a miracle. So what I'd like to ask you to do, for my part in the program tonight, I'd like to ask you to join us. The days are short. I'd like you to join us and help us to find these people, mostly women, that right now, as we speak in this glorious location, there are people in trauma right now. Some of them are crying, hoping that something will change. Then there's another group that quit crying because they don't believe rescue is going to happen. They've found a way to just soothe their pain and to find a way to get through the day, usually choosing self-destructive choices. And yet there's another group. This group never has cried. They quit feeling, and they don't know how to feel. Imagine how that affects their life, their relationships. They just don't know how to feel. What I'm going to help you to understand is that trauma of all kinds affects us in so many ways. Obviously, psychologically, but physically as well. And it creates sometimes depression and anxieties of all types, physical problems, poor social experiences and choices, and promiscuity, and I could go on. We need to find them. We need to put them before Jesus. So he can touch them and then watch them. To God be the glory. Thank you for your time. One more thing I have to do. Give me a couple of minutes. I'm just going to have to do this. It'll give you a greater understanding of what's going on here. These people experience these retreats in a healing community. They bond together like a new family, people from all over, and they cry together, they hug together, they pray for each other, they encourage each other, they even keep up with each other for months and sometimes years after the retreats as they continue their healing. It's a powerful bond that they have. And so I would like to kind of give you an analogy that might help you. Think of, for example, like a wolf pack. You know, a wolf pack. One wolf by himself is really kind of skittish, a little bit nervous, and not really very bold. But put him in a pack, and man, there's no enemy that can stop him. They celebrate all the victories together. They celebrate the problems together. They howl at night, and they care for each other, and they listen, and they arrive when necessary. Well, that's what these groups do. And I'm going to just give you some idea. I'm going to ask you to stand, if you will, please. Just you need to. Okay. All right, thank you. Well, I'm going to give you some idea of what it might sound like to be a part of one of these wolf packs, and there's some of them in here. You ready? Folks, we're not crazy. We're just loving the life, the new healing life that God has given us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marshall. Some of you have been through the programs will understand what the wolf pack is. So I would now like to introduce Ms. Hannah Welling, who will present the final testimony for tonight's gala. Following her testimony, we'll talk about how you can support New Heart of Texas Ministries. So, Hannah.
Hi, like Mr. Mason said, my name is Hannah, and that wolf pack thing is not a joke, guys. We really do it. So I am a student at Lubbock Christian University, where I will hopefully graduate in December. I grew up in a very traumatic household. I'm actually from Indiana, but I moved to Texas about almost 4 years ago. I was abused and neglected every day of my life for 18 years. My mom is a drug addict, which is really the main reason why she was the way she was. I experienced every kind of abuse, including physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. This meant that I was beaten, I was verbally assaulted, I was molested and raped by my biological mother and her boyfriends. There are some things that happen in your life that we just don't forget. For me, that was my whole childhood. But one event in particular is forever burned into my brain. I remember I was standing by the dryer folding laundry when my mom came in the room and she shoved me and she grabbed me and she started hitting me and yelling at me and spitting on my face, all because I didn't fold the laundry right. Now, this is a very minor example of what I went through. I have been through much worse. But you see, the hardest part about this is not the bruises or the shame. It was that I couldn't stop her, no matter how hard I tried, from hurting my younger siblings. She would hit them, and they also had bruises. They were just babies at the time, so they didn't even know how to bathe themselves. And as I washed them and washed their bruises, I just couldn't stop crying. It was so hard to protect them. We lived with little food and water and lights. We were locked in a dark house and we weren't allowed to talk to anyone. But then Jesus stepped into my pain. On my 18th birthday, I moved out. I called CPS, and my siblings were removed from my mom's house. And today, she has not seen them for 3 years. I was also delivered and brought to Texas by a young couple who were 21 at the time, so it's kind of crazy to bring an 18-year-old. But they chose to fight for me every single day. This whole time, though, I was left in a million broken pieces. What do you do when your whole life was dark and traumatic, and now you're expected to live in this new world where there's light and people care and people love you? Yes, it's beautiful, but it was hard. So this left me desperate. I wanted to die more than anything else. My whole entire life, I begged God every single night to take my life. And I had tried several times myself. I developed anorexia. I cut. I ran until my body would not let me run anymore. And I purposely put myself in situations where I could get hurt. But the thing is, God never gave up on me, and neither did his bride, the church. A little more than a year ago, I met a family that changed my life. I remember when I first met them, they were so kind to me that it started to scare me. I called my friend and I was like, Taylor, these people, they are cooking for me, they are praying over me, they are doing everything for me. Do I need to get out of here? And she said, Hannah, they're just being parents. But from that moment, I will never forget that I felt loved and cared for in the first time in my life. She would gently cut my face and she would say, you are loved, you are wanted, and you are worthy. And he always was protective of me and took care of me. And when he told me that it wasn't my fault, that meant everything. He was the first guy that I could ever trust. So this couple, they pushed me to get help because I was so desperate and just running on fumes. And that's when I found Grief to Grace. I was searching online for a Christian program, and like I said, I was trapped in a house for 18 years of my life that was dark, so I could not, because I knew that the trauma was the problem, and this was the only ministry I could find that would actually help with trauma. I drove 8 hours to this retreat, and I was very scared to death of staying, but the staff just welcomed me, and they made me feel safe, and I knew that my new family was just covering me in prayer. At Grief to Grace, I experienced my very first taste of healing, and it kick-started my healing process. I remember walking through the different activities, such as the scripture readings and the group therapies. I think that Grief to Grace is so effective because it takes you through the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And there, healing is found. One activity that was really helpful was the anger activity. Once I heard the story of Jesus being angry and him telling me that he was angry about what happened to me, I was finally freed to be angry myself. Now, I actually hit the anger box, which I was very determined not to do, but my group, my wolf pack, kept egging me on and validating me and telling me it was okay to be angry. And Carrie, she's pretty good at that too. And so I hit the box, and after hitting the box, they got me ice cream. I mean, what's better than that? But the thing that's important about this is that I was allowed to experience my anger, release it, and let it go. The other activity that was really impactful for me was burying my attempts to hurt myself. I had this false idea and notion that I was the one who deserved to be punished, and I was the one that needed to hurt, and that it was my fault. But by burying my attempts to hurt myself, I learned that Jesus chose me on that cross, and he loved me deeply, which meant that I didn't have to hurt myself anymore because he took that for me. Since Grief to Grace, I have been launched into a healing process that is literally saving my life. Driving home from the retreat, I felt the depression lift for the first time in 18 years. Actually, I was 20, but 20 years. So I was driving back, and I had so much hope that my life would be something I would finally want, something that I would want to fight for. And I couldn't stop thanking God for me. This led me to find more healing, and I have even started eating again. I enjoyed 2 scoops of ice cream tonight, and salad, and something else, but it was all great. And I don't hurt myself anymore, and I have found other ways of getting healed that are completely changing my narrative. I have gone from being unloved to beloved, from worthy to worthless, and from broken to redeemed, because it launched me into my healing journey, which all began with my Savior, Jesus Christ. By participating in his story, my story is changing also. I am not all the way healed yet, and I still have a long way to go. But Grief to Grace was the first thing that worked for me, and I know that God is working on me. He hasn't given up yet. So to all my friends out there who are desperate for help, searching for hope, and are just tired of being stuck, I recommend taking a huge step of faith, walking out of the boat and going to this retreat. But even if you don't go, know this, that he is with you in this present moment. He sees you, he loves you, and you are deeply cherished by him. He is fighting for you now, and he will heal you because you are loved, you are wanted, and you are worthy. Thank you so much for listening to my story. Thank you.
That is so moving. Hannah, you are such a brave and wonderful young woman, and you are absolutely loved. According to the National Center for Victims of Crime, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys are victims of sexual abuse. That's an astounding number. Think of the friends, the friends in your circle, the folks at work. If you're on sports teams, if you got kids that are around other kids, just think of those numbers, 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys. That's astounding, and there's a lot of healing that's needed. I'd like to introduce Mr. Tommy Smith. He's going to talk tonight about the importance of partnering with New Heart of Texas Ministries, and he'll be followed by Mary Lee, who is going to provide some additional instructions. So, Tommy?
It's a hard act to follow. That's a hard act to follow, Hannah. That was wonderful. Okay. Mary Lee asked me to talk about how she can further her vision, and we had discussed it just a little bit, and they're talking about looking at a property that's, I've looked at the pictures of it, Mary Lee, it looks very nice, and we were trying to figure out some way to make it work. So I don't know how I got in the middle of it, except I like to try to figure out crossword puzzles or some way to make things work. And so the title of this is Investments. And, you know, when you hear the word investment, what comes to mind? You know, there's different kinds of investments. I think one of the most important is our investments in our lives, our families, our children, our grandchildren, the people around us, our neighbors. Those, to me, are the most valuable investments. You know, of course, God, the specific investment involving New Heart of Texas. My wife and I have both attended the Rachel Vineyards and the Grief to Grace retreats as participants. I don't want to go into any of the details of that, but it's real. There we received gifts of compassion and forgiveness, of relationship and healing. Now we are choosing to share those gifts with others by helping New Heart of Texas realize the vision of a permanent home for their ministry. I believe it'll be a legacy value, as Mary will serve as a permanent home for the retreats, as Mary Lee had mentioned before. Well, you just think of all the things that you can do once you have a property they can even generate other kinds of deals that will go on, let's call them deals. Real estate people call them deals, but basically they can do so much more than they could when they were set up, where they had to reset up their every time they did a retreat or do a retreat, they have to carry all their stuff and set it all up, and then they have to take it all the way out and redo it every time, back and forth. How many times? 70-something, Mary Lee? So this would eliminate that because they're set up all the time. They're there, they're ready. So this is an investment. The way I'm looking at it is just, you know, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of the words. It's called, well, let's say we call it crowdfunding. You may have heard of that if you've heard about some different things. I may call it another simple word called group funding. The idea is to bring together a group of like-minded individuals who share a common goal of financing the purchase of this permanent home for New Heart. This group will form a limited liability company, or an LLC, for the specific purpose of securing a first deed of trust or mortgage on the New Heart property, with New Heart being liable to this loan rather than a bank. So we would be the lenders of the property. Actually, New Heart will manage the LLC. The way I look at this that I really like about it, the benefits are, first of all, New Heart, you'll chase down all the things about surveys and, well, appraisals, termite inspections. I don't know how many more new things since I've been in the business, but there's a lot of them. So it's reduced paperwork, reduced closing costs, lower rate of interest, quicker closing, more flexibility, and the potential of gift capability. Now, we're all donating our time, we're all donating money that we give to this wonderful cause. So how do we finance this and help it work for an investment? How do I make this investment make me feel like it's worthwhile? Well, yes, I do want to donate some money to operate the programs, but how can I feel about maybe we have some money in about the interest rate on it, because it's probably 0.2%, and if you're really lucky, 0.3%. This has a property that backs it up. If all else fails, you know, the other thing is that the secured asset, and it's also a wonderful way to support the ministry. My wife and I, it was an easy decision for us to make. We were sitting in a condo on the beach looking at the sunset, and Mary Lee called me. She said, what you want to talk about? She said, I just want to talk about this stuff a little bit. If you've ever met and talked to Mary Lee, she's just wonderful. She has just a way of touching everybody. And at that time, it was just so easy for us to say, yes, Mary Lee, we'll do this. So we're in to that, and we're very proud to be able to do that. And about Mary Lee's comment about this, according to a quote by an unknown author, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision is a nightmare, but vision combined with action can change the world. New Heart of Texas has such a vision to inspire hope, to change the world. Won't you join us in turning this vision into a reality? Thank you all.
I know we're going a little long tonight, but we are towards the end. I just want to say thank you for coming. And right now, tonight, you're going to have an opportunity to help us. And so I do have an exciting announcement. One of our faithful donors and supporters who's watching online tonight, they have given us a matching grant of $25,000, a matching donation. So tonight, your dollar will double. So we have on the table, we have an envelope, and there is an envelope and a table host at each.
Thank you for participating in tonight's New Heart of Texas fundraising gala. I hope that you have found this evening informative and that you have gained a better understanding of this healing ministry. Our mission is to help our participants heal from the pain of their past and develop tools to live happier and healthier lives. Tonight, you have heard some powerful testimonials from several of our retreat participants. They form a community that encourages and supports each other. Many have formed long-lasting friendships. If you would like to learn more about New Heart of Texas Ministries, please visit our website at newheartoftexas.org. As we wind up our gala, you now have the opportunity to make a financial gift to New Heart of Texas. Our goal tonight is to raise $130,000, and with your help, we can achieve that goal. If you're considering a one-time gift, here are some costs to keep in mind. It costs $3,000 to put on a Rachel's Vineyard retreat. For $300, you can pay for one participant. Each Grief to Grace retreat costs about $18,000. We scholarship all of our participants, and a scholarship for one participant is $600. You also have the opportunity to support us on a monthly basis. We rely on and appreciate our monthly donors, and even a modest amount each month is a significant contribution to ensuring the ongoing mission of this ministry. We would like to double our monthly donors this year. Please consider foregoing a meal out or a few Starbucks runs and become a monthly supporter of New Heart of Texas. Remember, nearly all donations go directly to conducting our retreats. Administrative costs are minimal, and our staff and board members are all volunteers. You can also make one-time donations through our Octria website at the homepage or through the New Heart of Texas website. Additionally, you may send a check made payable to New Heart of Texas and mail it to 17515 Spring Cypress Road, Box 171, Cypress, Texas 77429. We also encourage you to pray for our ministry and sign up for our prayer vigils that take place during each retreat. The power of your prayers is felt by everyone on our retreats, and as a result, we have witnessed many miraculous healings. If you have bid on and won a silent auction item, we will mail it to you or arrange to have it picked up or delivered if it is one of our larger items. Thank you for joining us this evening and becoming a supporter